Hi, this is Doug Jefferson, and this is my ePortfolio. So starting off, we have the goals. Under professional goals, one of the things I want to do is create an atmosphere of unity and trust in the building I'm in. Another goal is to have a building where teachers take initiative and support one another. And the third goal is to improve the building I'm in. I really don't think if you're a stagnant school or a stagnant building, that you improve. I don't think your teachers improve or your students improve. So it's number three there might be the most important to me is whichever building I'm in. I would like everyone and everything to improve over time. Some personal goals of mine to have student scores go up as a result of the programs I implement, and to have a building where every teacher is involved in a sport club or organization. We always preach this to our kids in the current district I'm in and the current building I'm in. But I think it's only fair to have teachers who are willing to do extra work as well. If we're asking kids to do this and to be involved and to do extra things, definitely teachers need to be involved as well. And number three, kind of funny, but at the same time it's not. I got this from talking to several different administrators, and I didn't realize how many administrators get named in a lawsuit. Really took me by surprise. So number three on my personal goals is to not be named in a lawsuit. All right. My leadership philosophy. So you can see that right here. Basically, it comes down to three things. I'm not going to go through this entire um, philosophy here with you, but as long as you communicate, as long as you're honest, and if you're punctual, I think that says a lot about you. Um, Parents just want to be heard. That's one of the big things I got from our superintendent was he said, just make sure you listen to parents, make sure you hear them out. It's not always about them being right or wrong. They just want to be heard. And I thought that was a big point of emphasis for me. Secondly, um, if you're not honest, if you dance around questions, if you try to sugarcoat stuff, usually it comes back to bite you in some way. So I think honesty is a big one. And the third one there is punctuality. You cannot be a leader of anything if you're not there on time, if you're not there at all. So I believe communication, honesty, and punctuality are huge parts of being a leader. My program of study uh, went very well. It went exactly as I wanted it to go. I filled this out when I started this program last June. And everything went to fruition. Everything I got done when I need to get it done, even though a few things personally came up. I was still able to stay on course and again start last June, basically finish my classes this June, and able to get through this. The next one is my resume. As you can see here, my principal helped me out with this. I think I applied for 3 or 4 jobs this last spring, even though I hadn't received my test scores or finished this program yet. I just wanted to get my name out there, and I was lucky enough to gain an interview at Mays Middle School for an assistant principal job, and I think that is going to have huge benefits for me. I learned a lot from that interview. The principal there conducting the interview was a great guy. You know, when he called to tell me that they had gone with someone else, I understood, but very helpful into things that could help me in the future possibly. So this is my resume, and this is what I plan on using whenever I start putting my name out there, probably next spring again. All right, my ABIB. In my ABIB, you're going to see a lot of magazine articles, and I think 2 or 3 of them, basically 2 or 3 different magazines, and everything's from those magazines. The reason this is, and it worked out really, really well, I thought, was my assistant principal was huge in helping me through this program. So what he would do is whenever he'd receive a magazine and there was something an article that pertained to our school or to our district, or something that could possibly pertain to our school or district, he would have me read it, and I don't want to say I did a true case study on it, but then we would come back and we would discuss these articles and what would you do, why would you do it. And it's one of those deals where I could see what he would do as an administrator, or what he had done if this had happened in our school before or in our district. And then he could get some ideas from me also, give him some ideas, and he's like, oh, I never thought of it that way, or that's a different way to look at it. So I think it was beneficial for both of us. I definitely think it was more beneficial for me. But that's why you see so many magazine articles on here, is because I didn't just read these articles and say, okay, I read my article and now I'm done, I'll move on to the next one. But for each article that I have in here, like I said, my assistant principal and I, we got together, we discussed these things, how it affected our school. So this was one of the things that was very beneficial for me, to see how actual administrators would tackle problems. There's even a few articles in there where this could possibly happen in the future. So we discussed what we thought our school would probably do in the future, depending on administration, if current administration was still in place, if we had new administration. But very eye-opening. I really enjoyed that time with our assistant principal. All right. Moving on to some of the activities here. So we'll start with the district activities. And vision and goals here. The first one, one of the things that I first, starting the first day last year when we were back at school, they were looking for someone to help with the crisis manual. So I volunteered for that, and you'll see that in here. But basically, we couldn't find the digital copy, had to find the digital copy, had to replace some names. To me, it was very surprising. Some of those people hadn't been in our district for 3 or 4 years, and I couldn't believe we had not updated that yet. So that was very eye-opening for me. Some other things here. Here's our district supplemental committee that I was a part of. So these are just a few of the items here: high school newspaper, high school yearbook, high school National Honor Society, the different levels they're wanting to move to, the money ranges that were possibilities for them. So I've been on that for 2 years now. This is my second year on it. But I always find this very eye-opening. It's always good to see people wanting to create new supplemental positions, because like I said earlier, we want our teachers to be involved. This is what I was talking about at the beginning with the district crisis manual. You can click on that link there and it'll show you the first page of the manual with the numbers and the people. For category 4, I used one of my assignments because I thought this was very important, and this helped me out a lot, made me realize a lot of things about my district. And this was the internal, external community stakeholders. We had to create a chart of who's important, why they're important, are they internal, are they external. So I included that in my district activities. And then another thing that really helped me out, our principal sent me to So You Want to Be a Principal conference in Goddard. And this basically just reaffirmed what I'd been thinking. Do I want to get into this? Do I not want to? And through Mr. Bowie there and the other people in the classes, through communication and discussions, just reaffirmed that yes, this is what I want to do. Also, he went through scenarios with us, and basically boosted our confidence. Said, you guys are basically doing this stuff anyway, so keep doing what you're doing. The last one here is Capturing Kids' Hearts. This was early, I guess it's September 24th, 25th. It was early in the year last year. This was not for a high school. This was for 2 of our grade schools. The middle school administrators were invited to this also because it could possibly move up to our middle school. This is one of those where it's a great program. I think it's works out really, really well in our grade schools. I think it works out in our middle schools, and I think our good teachers in our high school do this anyway. All right, so that was my district elementary. I spent most of my time down at Garfield Elementary with Trevor Lockamy. You can see right here. That was a whole new world for me. So I really appreciated him spending his time with me. You can see here I was part of their Kansas Day and did some activities and helped them out. Helped administer some of those. But just the teachers down there, they're great. Mr. Lockamy is a great guy. The kids, they're excited every day. Like I said, just a whole different world from the high school. Here's a picture of their FEMA shelter. This is me helping them at Relay Recess, which is a cool cancer fundraising event, and this is their reward. Another guy I went and talked to was a guy who had been in our district for over a decade now, and he's been an administrator in high school, middle school, and grade school. So I went and talked to him about ethics and integrity just because he has the most experience of everyone. That was very eye-opening. And then education systems, again, just talking to Mr. Lockamy and hashing some things out, a lot of discussions, a lot of him showing me paperwork and examples. All right, so on to the secondary. Here we go. So I went to our ABCTL league meeting, which we have 30-some teams in our league, so I really wanted to be a part of this, and it was very eye-opening from the discussions. Also, our middle school, we just switched leagues, so that was also interesting, and we're going to do things in a different way now. We're going to have split seasons in the winter, so all those discussions were very beneficial to me, especially since I'm applying at places around Andover and Augusta. I need to know what's going on, and I think this gives me a leg up, having been in on those meetings. Board meetings, I've attended those. Supervision at choir concerts, I really, really enjoyed that just because it's a different group of kids from what I coach or are around a lot. Organizational systems, safety activities, program handbooks, helping out with the middle school, promotional videos, understanding my community, clinical supervisions, ethics and integrity, how to act, what to do. Edgenuity contracts, this was a huge one. I took this over for our principal the second semester. I started in early February. Basically long-term suspension kids. I was put in charge of them. I was put in charge of updating their transcripts, making sure that they kept current on their classes and could remain seniors or sophomores, could graduate on time, whatever it might be. So that was very, very beneficial. I really enjoyed that. Here's an example of a course completion report that I'd have to fill out for them. So that Edgenuity was really eye-opening for me, and really enjoyed it. My activity form, you can see it right here, and down here at the bottom, ended up with 188 hours, which to get 188 hours in 1 year was a stretch. And then the very last thing here is my administrative certification. So I have my letter from Mr. Lockamy down at the grade school at Garfield, from my principal, Mrs. Czar, who helped me out tremendously, especially when it came to me going to my interviews and applying for jobs. And then finally, Mr. Ward, who's our superintendent. So that is my e-portfolio. I really enjoyed this. This class was very, very beneficial. This program was very beneficial, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Dr. Moody and discussing some more things. Thanks a lot.